Hello, this is take two of our weekly live presentation of what's happening at Dog Podcast Network. Why take two? Well, they are drilling volcanic rock outside my window. And evidently, not only does it provide some audio challenges, but some internet challenges. So, anyway, don't do that. Hi, I'm James Jacobson in Maui, Hawaii, with volcanic rock underneath.
And I'm Claire Mansell in London, England, which is very far away from Hawaii, but apparently not so far that you can't hear the drilling in the volcanic rock.
Yes, I don't recommend it. There's a reason we don't have basements here in Hawaii, and it's because, well, it's volcanic rock. But nevertheless, this new hotel that they're building right outside my window, they think this is a really good idea. So we'll see.
I'm guessing you don't have
But that's not why we're here.
You don't have rabbits either in Hawaii because they wouldn't be able to dig burrows.
I love rabbits.
Oh,
no, there's no digging. There's just a little. I mean, we have a lot of agriculture, a lot of great stuff, but it's more to upcountry and But when you get closer to the ocean, where there's been a bit more volcanic activity, it's a whole thing that I'm not a geologist to explain, and it's really interesting. But this is why we don't drill or have basements in Hawaii, but. Nonetheless, they are trying, and it's with heavy equipment. And unfortunately, our studio is literally like next door to where they're drilling, and clearly we can't have enough soundproofing or internet protection. But we're live now, so let's talk about what's happening on Dog Podcast Network this week.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about Dog Edition, and I want to mention when I talk about Dog Edition that I have recently made a change in my life, which is that I used to listen to a lot of podcasts when I was out on walks, and then I kind of fell out of the habit of it. And I think it was when I moved from Canada to the UK, and your routine gets a bit changed and you just fall out of the habit of it, and then you don't charge the headphones and I've got back into listening literally in the last week or so, and I have rattled through the backlog of podcasts that I had on my phone. And so I would just say to people, if you feel like you've fallen out of the habit of listening to stuff, then dig out the headphones. And it is so nice to be out on a walk, take the dog with you. The dog always appreciates a long walk, and have a listen. Dog Edition this week is about being homeless with a dog. And this is a really interesting episode that touches on a lot of aspects. The charities that help homeless people with dogs, the stories from people who have turned their life around because of a dog, and why nearly all dogs on the streets are better cared for than perhaps you think they are, and not just cared for, but kind of their needs are met in more of a way that you wouldn't think necessarily. And the episode that's coming up next Tuesday is about a groundbreaking dog rescue in Argentina that has 500 dogs and some very innovative ways of getting them adopted as well. And then we have one coming up the week after, which is about dogs and loyalty and why dogs are loyal. And it sort of comes back to the dog walking thing, but you'll have to listen and you'll find out a bit more about that. So what's happening on the Long Leash?
On the Long Leash this week, the Long Leash is what I like to describe as our most podcasty show, where we have in-depth conversations with newsmakers. And this week you will hear from Leo. I forgot his name. Trottier. It's very proper. Leo is what I call him. But Leo Trottier. He is the CEO of a company that has been making and selling these buttons that you have seen everywhere. They're where dogs can communicate with us by pressing a button and talking. It is really groundbreaking stuff because science is looking at it. It's very cool. But how did it happen and where is it going? That's what we discussed this week on the Long Leash.
And it's funny, actually, because we bought a box of buttons just before we left Canada. And it was like, I'll tell you what, we'll put them in the shipping because it won't take long till they arrive in the UK. And as anyone knows who's been following this saga, we packed up our stuff in June. It's now October and we still don't have it. So Maple's missed a bit of her learning with the buttons, but we're going to get back to it. Dog cancer answers this week. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure. We have a conversation about something called Feudal Care, Futile. And that is, and you may have seen this with either your own dog or some other dog, when the dog is really bad, really terminal, but one continues to do a lot of invasive and aggressive treatments that may or not help in the long term. We have a conversation with a veterinarian, Dr. Nathan Peterson. It is a fascinating, thoughtful conversation that you should listen to, especially if you have or you know a dog with cancer. That's on Dog Cancer Answers.
I think it's very hard these days. I had a dog who was chronically ill, and I feel that the pressure comes from both sides because you often have owners who want to try absolutely everything, but you also have vets who sometimes feel like they have to offer absolutely everything. And it is a really difficult conversation to have. But yeah, sometimes you need to step away from the more invasive procedures.
Are you doing it for yourself or for the
Yeah.
dog? And what are the long-term consequences, both for both of you and financially? And also, what are the impacts to the veterinarians who are being asked to do some of these things that they define as feudal care? It's something that people don't talk about, but we talk about because that's what we do at Dog Podcast Network. Is we talk about really interesting things related to dogs that will help you have conversations with other people who are thoughtful and love dogs, because that's our audience, and hopefully you are one of those people.
Talking about people who are thoughtful and love dogs, I'm going to give a mention here to wagthevote.org, which is our campaign to get people to register and get out and vote. And obviously this is something that is at the forefront of your mind in the US at the moment because you have elections coming up, but it's something that affects everyone the world over. And it's not just about big elections, it's about small elections as well, because sometimes the smaller ones get forgotten. But you know, it is about being at one with your pack, being loyal, being the kind of human that your dog would be, and getting out and voting. And the website has got some interesting information about how you can use. Now, what's that word? What's that word you come up with all the time about how you can
leverage?
Leverage.
You can leverage your relationship with your dog to get other people to come out and exercise their franchise. The vote in the United States is November 8th. And there is still time to register in most states. Details, if you're not registered or not sure if you're registered, are at from links that you can find on wagthevote.org. We say, not only make sure you're registered, but actually go out and vote or use mail voting, and then try to get a friend or two or 10, because when you exercise your right to vote, it's going to make democracy better everywhere. So please do that. This is an election in the US that is really for the battle of who controls Congress. So it's an important one. And whichever side you're on, it's important to vote and to get people to vote, because we need to hear what you have to say. And that's where voting comes in.
Do you know, Jim, my husband, who confusingly is called Jim, has been away for a few elections.
Not confusing to us, but yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing to anyone listening. He's been away, on operational duty and things for a couple of elections, and I've always offered to vote in his place, because obviously if they're away, you can vote in their place or you can do postal votes. And he never lets me vote in his place because he said he doesn't trust me. He does a postal vote, and it's kind of hashtag joking, not joking.
We don't have that legal. You can't really do that in the United States.
We can't do that in the US.
Behalf.
No,
you
can have a proxy vote in the UK.
Oh, no proxy votes unless that wouldn't be terribly constitutional. But I'm not a constitutional scholar, but you can mail in and vote, and I think you could do a proxy vote for someone who's not physically able, but you mail anyway. I'm not an election person, but we have all the details on wagthevote.org. And I'm sorry about Jim not trusting you. That's another thing. We'll talk about that some other day.
Well, I was going to say, it's a hashtag joking, not joking. It's kind of like, well, it's like, what do you think? I can be trusted with his vote,
I would.
Do you think I'm going to spoil the ballot paper or what?
I would trust you. I don't know. That's an interesting conversation to have with the other Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. So if you're out on your walk at any point, then and you get talking to dog lovers, then do give a mention to the Dog Podcast Network and let them know whether they can find our shows, which is dogpodcastnetwork.com, or by putting any of the names of our podcasts into one of your apps and finding them there.
Yeah, you can find all the back episodes for all the shows that maybe you want to catch up on shows.dogpodcastnetwork.com. And in addition to being available in your podcast app of choice, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or any of the other plethora, you can also find us on YouTube, which is pretty easy. And so we're everywhere you want to be. And we hope you will join us. Also, if you have some thoughts for shows that you would like us to do or people you think we should interview on one of our programs or questions, get in touch with us through our website. Also, on our website, on any of those episode pages, there's a little microphone in the bottom right. You can click that and leave us a voicemail using either your phone or your computer and let us know what you're thinking. And perhaps that'll be used in another episode of one of our shows.
Fantastic. Right. Well, I think that's wrapped it up. We should quit while the going's good and while
there's
no drilling.
While they're not drilling too hard. Anyway, thanks so much. Take care. Aloha.
Will do. See you later.
Bye.